observation reflection from our recent gym class observations. My name is Colin.
And I'm Rylee. And if you listen in, we're going to give you a little bit of advice on what to do and what not to do from things we've learned.
So the first activity we performed with our grade 2 class was a dancing game. Maybe Rylee will tell you a little bit more about it.
So what we did was we did a little bit of a dance warm-up with different things that we use for tag games. Things like tagging and things like dodging. And with this, the kids would learn these little things, what they thought was being a dance, but really they were going to use it later on in the class.
At the beginning of the dance, not everybody was participating, but within a few seconds, every kid was engaged, seeing me and Rylee both perform it, as well as the teacher. The kids felt they should, and they participated excellently.
And they loved it, so it was a great way to start off. Next up, we did an activity for spatial awareness. And I'll let Colin talk about this one.
Our spatial awareness game was basically to get kids engaged in physical activity while paying attention to their surroundings. For example, we had the kids run in a slight jog and then try and stop, and when we yelled freeze, everybody was in their ready position, which we explained to them with their knees bent, hands out. And with that, we were able to gain class control. Kids would move in different forms. We'd have them move like different animals, all sorts of things. But the one rule is when we yelled freeze, we would go into our ready position. And this really taught kids to be ready, and when you're in that ready position, you can move in any direction, which was aiming towards the tag games that we would be teaching later on in the lesson.
There were some difficulties with this, with the space that we kept. The kids would like to run out of it. However, if we kept on the sides, showing them, hey, you can't pass by this place, they started to get to understand, and they learned through that.
Yes, our instructions were quite brief to begin with, just so we could get the kids engaged and going, and then we explained a little bit more details as we went along. For example, when they crossed the boundaries, we'd let them know that they should stay in. The teacher also helped a lot with that too.
For our final game, we played an actual tag game using the things that we learned with spatial awareness and our dance lesson.
This tag game involved everybody being in. That was actually the name of the game. In this case, we had to teach the kids some of the rules. Basically, if you were tagged, you'd have to lower yourself down until the other person was tagged. And if I was tagged, then the person who got tagged would be able to regain in play. If two people tagged themselves at the same time, they would have to perform a simple rock, paper, scissors test. Rock, paper, scissors. And as you can see, then I would be down. We explained rock, paper, scissors before we began the game, just to clarify, and most kids had an excellent grasp on how to perform rock, paper, scissors.
Yes. We went over it with the kids afterwards to see how they liked it, and the kids loved the game. And I think they're going to want to play it a lot more.
Definitely. We found that by introducing the rock, paper, scissors, there wasn't any conflict between children. If they were debating who got tagged and who should have been in, they just simply do rock, paper, scissors.
Between each different aspect of what we were teaching, we had the kids come to the middle to explain what we were doing.
When all the kids sat in the circle, we were able to make sure they were quiet by talking in a low voice. They really had to listen and then gradually get louder so they could all hear us. But usually being loud wasn't an issue with this class. They were very well behaved, and the teacher would also call out on people if they got a little bit out of hand. We began by asking their names and then getting feedback from them. And surprisingly, after a few kids, they were already introducing their name before they'd even asked the question. So they had come to realize that they should say their name first, which was excellent. That way me and Rylee could understand and talk to them by their name.
Yes, it was awesome to talk to them with their name, because then they felt like we actually were helping them, teaching them. So they felt like they were a part of the class and it wasn't just an experiment they were a part of. We also, when we went into the circle, would sit down with them so that we were on the same level as them and they didn't feel intimidated by us. So that was a wonderful way to get them really talking and expressing how they really felt about it.
classroom management was quite easy, we found in this class. It was easy to get the kids' attention, and by implementing the freeze rule where they'd automatically go into their position, it was quite easy to get them to stop. There was a few times when they were really engaged in the game that they didn't want to stop and they kept going, but after yelling once or twice the word freeze, they did eventually come to a stop.
As well with learning the dodging skills within the first task of the dancing, they were able to not hit each other for the most part, and when they did, we would address it immediately, and then they would work on not hitting each other. So it was a task that they were working on not doing. So when they didn't, we would congratulate them and tell them how good it was that they didn't.
Oftentimes we would freeze the game to add modifications or change things up, or just to give general feedback so that everybody could hear us and that they could change their technique. For example, during a lot of the tag game they just started running like crazy and forgot what we had taught them, but once we told them to freeze and come back to the circle, we explained to use those movements. I said at one point to twirl around like a tornado, I think was it, and they took that a little bit too literal and just started running, going in a circle like this without running, and then I realized I should explain that a little bit more clearly, to run and turn around in circles as you're going.
Once that was explained more clearly, then the kids really worked on doing exactly what we said, and there was no collisions. So it worked out great. So, overall, the kids did a lot of listening and listened really awesome. But the thing was, did they really get anything out of the games that we were playing? I think so. I think that with the dancing aspect, we learned the dodging, we learned the tagging techniques, and we learned a lot of spinning around each other and stuff. So, when we took it into the tag games, the kids really used it, and the teacher said that we did a wonderful job. Overall, the kids did amazing, and I think that we don't have a whole lot more to say.
Okay, so this elementary school, really nice school. It's a school I could envision myself teaching in. Kids, very well behaved, excellent to work with, and it was just a pleasure to work with them. I think it was a great first experience teaching. I really enjoyed it. Their enthusiasm, their willingness to play the game, it was just amazing. They were so well behaved, I couldn't even stand it. I think that this class was a great gym class, and I think that our teaching made them really enjoy their class. And